Hey, it's me again! And I took a lot of inspiration from Tony's video that he made the other day about his rules for investing. I also have rules. These are kind of my rules for investing, but really you can apply a lot of these rules to other aspects as I do. Especially the latter half. We're going to talk a bit about psychology. If you watch my channel, you know I kind of go through different bits of psychology with FUD and different, there's the sea lion tactic, there's different narcissistic tactics people use. You could be a type A narcissist or a type B narcissist. I talk about the different psychological aspects. Psychology is very much a soft science in the fact that it's a case study basis. Everybody reacts different. It's a very if and when, but it's still good to, I think, study case studies and try to apply, like, where have we seen this before? Kind of like history, right? History is more or less like, it wouldn't be considered a science, right? Because nothing can be really quantifiable. It's all qualitative. Same with psychology, more or less. That's why it's considered a soft science. But if you don't look at psychology as a soft science and more look at it as in terms of a historical event, then it's different. It's something that, yeah, that makes sense that we look at the case studies, right? So we have a basis where to go. Much like history. If you consider psychology more like a history, it's good. Anyhow, this is my guidelines you're about to see on what I do. They might be different for you, but these are my own personal ones I'm going to share with you. Let's start off. Guidelines when trading. Number 1, know the entry point. And know if you're going to go long or short. If we're going to go short, maybe don't have an entry point at the bottom. Maybe you want that entry point to be at the top. If you're going long, maybe you don't want an entry point at the top. And this sort of plays into events later on down the road, slides that I'm going to show you. So have an entry point. And knowing when to choose an entry point, the next rules will tell you. These are my personal rules for any entry point. Unless you're shorting the stock, all-time high, do not buy. Now, if you're shorting, maybe that's a good point, because usually when it's an all-time high, it goes down and consolidates, right? And if you're going to do a swing trade on this with the short play, perhaps this is advantageous to you. Or if you're going to buy some puts, you can buy some cheap puts when it's at an all-time high, get some puts for far out down the road, and then when the stock goes back down, maybe you're in the money now. If you're going to go long, buy it when it's ugly. Buy the dip, right? Buy the dip. Like Terry, buy it when it's ugly. I could have just put in buy the dip. So I'll also quote Terry, buy the dip. You buy it when it's down. Dip down pretty well. When it's an ugly dip, a big dip, a big dipper, buy it when it's ugly. And if you're going to short the stock, maybe you don't want to take up a short position when it's ugly, right? This goes back to know your entry points. That's why I have it under here as a subtext. Okay, number 2. And you know what? The rules might be off, so ignore the numbers. Have limits. If you're one of these people... Now, this is different from investing. We're talking about trading. A short-term trade, a long-term trade. If you invest in something, buy it when it's ugly, and then forget about it. Hold on to it. You forget about it. Just like put it... Maybe if you want to invest, you should have a whole separate account, right? Like maybe a JP Morgan account for investing. Maybe a Charles Schwab or Fidelity or something. Whole separate. And that's your only investing account. You're only going to do investing. You'll check it once a year. If you're truly investing in a stock, that might be the best, because if you're seeing it every day, you start to think about it every day. And unless you're truly at one with your mental state and your emotions, and you know how you react to certain situations because you've gone through it and you put yourself out there to be uncomfortable, it'll be very hard for you. As a result, it might be best if you just segment your life. I segment my life in a whole bunch of ways. I segment my work life from my fun life, from my trading life. This is why I have like a lot of names. Like I have my own name. I have roller pigeons, bird lady. So if you say roller pigeon's a bird lady or a pidge, I know. Ooh, I love the pidge, by the way, because pidge is like a short and it's sweet, and I think it's a really happy name. If you say pidge, okay, this is like from stocks and investing. Okay, if you use any other moniker go by, oh, you know me from this. You know, you might know me from when I taught molding and casting classes. If you use a different name, this way, like emotions from one don't go into the other. If I have a bad day at work or, you know, where I was completely swamped, stressed, nothing happens, I was spinning my wheel, everybody's angry. I don't take it anywhere else with me, right? It stays at work. What happens at work stays at work, right? I'll make for some great stories later on down the road, but same with trading, right? Maybe you want to have like a specific day trade account. You use this, you know, TD Thinkorswim, which is a good one for quick day trades and swing trades when like timing is everything. You use that for trading. Maybe use like an E-Trade or something for a swing trade, and maybe use like a Fidelity account for your, or JP Morgan for your super long-term investments. This is all about knowing you and making a plan on what you can do. Sadly, I wanted to say sadly with my last slide, stocks don't have emotions, sadly. So, you know, you can get emotional about a stock, but don't expect that same reciprocated emotion back to you. It's very much a one-sided relationship. With a lot of people, like, have attachments to vehicles, they'll have attachments to things, sentimental attachments. And there might be sentimental attachments to the stock. As a result, maybe you want to move that stock, which is fine. People can be attached to cars, right? People can be attached to stuffed animals. People can be attached to anything. You know, to anthropomorphize stuff is actually like a very humanistic quality that we've had since the beginning of human history. We've been anthropomorphizing things, right? That's why kids play with dolls. That's why kids play with toys. That's why Cars is such a big franchise. We love anthropomorphizing different things. As a result, if you're anthropomorphizing a stock, consider it an investment perhaps, and then maybe only get it in your investment account. I actually do have different accounts. My JP Morgan is more like my long-term investment because they don't do OTC. And then my E-Trade is more or less my swing investments, but I might also get a TD Thinkorswim for day trading. So let's go into information. This is what I specialize in. We gather information. We examine case studies, right? We garner experience. If you treat psychology more like a history and to examine the case studies, then we have those case studies to draw on for examples. I always say, find me an example of a stock or security that did not pay its dividend because it was shorted. You know, find me that example. Overstock paid even though it was shorted. Torchlight was heavily shorted. And it was so heavily shorted when it went into Meta and the original Series A preferred shares. That's pre-MMTLP. Everybody got their preferred share. It took some more longer than others, depending where you were and what platform you have, but everybody got their share. Irregardless of how shorted it was, everybody got their share. Case study 1. So, you know, maybe those synthetic shares gets moved off in a secondary market, and maybe that's why they're trading overseas. You know, it makes you wonder, where do the synthetic shares go? Like that movie Jack Black and the Flan, like the Poogon, where does it go, right? Where do the synthetics go? Like the Poobigon, you spray it. Well, where does it go? It just doesn't disappear. It has to go somewhere, right? Maybe it does go to Slovakia, which is funny because, you know, I'm from a Czech family. So studying these possible events, we have things like what's going to happen to the stock if we're waiting for filing to come out, like CEI, and it's late. What's going to happen? Have a contingency. No possible event triggers, because it does give us contingencies. We have to know number 3 to go into number 4. Having contingencies based on possible scenarios and events. It'll help you navigate the rough waters when emotions are high and things are moving fast. What if it's great news and all of a sudden things are squeezing up and everybody's caught in emotion and, oh my gosh, this is so exciting. It's like exhilarating. Your heart's flying It's this wonderful, like, it's that hit, that dopamine hit. Your body's like, yeah, I need it. Your brain's lighting up like a Christmas tree, a Griswold Christmas house. Don't forget your training. That's the last one. Don't forget your training. Have contingencies. You will get caught up in emotions if you have case studies and you don't forget your plan. You have a contingency. Hopefully you won't get caught up in all this emotion. Bulls make money. Bears make money. Pigs get slaughtered, right? Don't be a pig. I don't think it's more like that. I think it's more like, don't get caught up in emotion. Don't get caught up when things are moving too fast, and like, have contingencies. Know your emotions. I never say don't hide your emotions or leave your emotions at the door. This is the stock market. I think that personal advice is silly. If you hide your emotions, you're only suppressing the elephant in the room. People say they want to talk about the elephant in the room. I think elephant in the room is emotions, really. You have to address this because the elephant in the room is going to move one day, unless it's a taxidermed elephant, but it's going to move one day. You know, sooner or later, that's what elephants do. They move around. So we're going to address the 800-pound gorilla or the elephant or whatever wives' tale you want to use. Don't hide your emotions. Or say leave your emotions at the door. I don't. This is my own rule, by the way. All these are my own rules, my own thoughts. I think that just makes things worse. You should practice your emotions. Like, really explore yourself. If you have a bad breakup, take that opportunity of that bad breakup to really explore your emotions and how you're feeling. This is why, like, sometimes people are all into journaling, right? Because they actually have a log to go by their emotions and their experiences. This is why a lot of therapists will recommend to you journaling. It's just something that you can explore your emotions. So when something else happens in the future like this, oh, okay, we've done this before. How did that work out? Maybe we should examine it. And this goes back into the contingency plan. Practice your emotions. Practice your very highs. Practice your very lows. Know how you will react. And then you can make a plan. So if something frustrating happens, you're not going to swear. You're not going to get irate. You might get a little, frustrated, roll your eyes, but you're not going to like go off the rail. You know your emotions. You can practice your emotions. The more you are exposed to it, the better you are dealing with that exposure therapy. The more you can be exposed to it, the better you are capable at dealing with this. Recognize the emotions of others. You know your own emotions, but okay, this person's feeling frustrated. The worst thing you can tell a woman that's angry is, I think you need to calm down. Oh, I never tell people that. Somebody's angry, I don't say, chill, calm down. No. Because if somebody does that to me, that escalates the problem. Think of it like a horse, right? Like you have a wild horse and it's bucking and it's really upset. The last thing you want to do is start beating on that horse. That just escalates things. Is you're nagging it on, right? You're nagging it on. If your horse is acting out, you know what you do? You just calmly stand still. You don't walk away though. You walk away from the horse, that's taking away the pressure. And you just told your horse you're rewarding it for acting out like that. That's why the motto comes from always get back on the horse. There's times you accidentally fall off and maybe you hurt yourself, but if a horse purposely acts out and gets you off the saddle and you don't get back on, you just taught that horse that when they act out, the ride's over. All they have to do to get out of this work, horse is lazy and he doesn't want to work like you don't want to work. All he has to do to get out of this work is just get you off and then it's done, right? If you get back on the horse will be like, oh, that didn't work. Okay. And he'll think maybe next time he acts out, well, you're not going to go off the saddle. Or if you do, you're just going to get back on. Maybe I should try something else. That's how horses think. Know the emotions of others. If people are very frustrated, don't escalate the situation. Recognize that they're frustrated. And if you have to talk to them, be like, I understand your frustration. I realize that you're frustrated. And that's okay. It's okay. It's okay to experience emotion. We're human. That's what we do. We experience emotion. Recognize it. Say, it's okay. I understand you're frustrated. If somebody apologizes, I usually accept it because, you know, we're human, right? We make mistakes. We're emotional creatures. And, you know, that is human. Again, and don't offer unsolicited advice. If somebody's upset and angry, don't offer advice. Do not do that, please. It only adds to the situation. It only adds to the situation. And then it comes off as being extremely manipulative. Even if that wasn't your intention, if your intention was to offer advice, do not do it when it's heated. That comes off as being manipulative. So don't offer unsolicited advice. Only offer advice when people ask of you. That's why when a lot of people say, can I get your opinion? They're trying to solicit my opinion. They want advice. They're soliciting for advice. But a lot of people will take that as unsolicited advice. So a lot of times I'll say, just PM me the question and I'll talk to you. Just ask me privately and I'll talk to you. That's why I also will leave chat rooms a lot. As people will know, they want me in a chat room and I disappear. I don't want it to be like I'm offering unsolicited advice. I think it's best just to step away. If people want to talk to me or they need advice, they know where to find me. That's a rule that I live by. And remember your training. Above all, guys, remember your training. Because when things get high and you don't have training or you don't remember it, then you're back to square one. So remember your training. That's why I say always practice your emotions, because then you're training. Know what you're capable of. Examine other people. Know what they're capable of. Know when they're frustrated, when they're not frustrated. When, you know, if somebody's very frustrated or very sad, I'm not going to really poke at them. I hope I take a more, I guess, complex psychological approach to this, but you know, a lot of people like to cite that the market is 95% psychology anyways. I'm not a psychologist. This is just my own personal thoughts and observations of the matter. I do like to study behavior in case studies, and I do always look at human behavior. I call it like the human experience. I always look at it through the lens of like an alien examining the human race, like some other being, some other like high level sentient being examining the human race, right? That's how I tend to look at human behavior. It gives a much more objective third party point of view that isn't influenced by, you know, any one particular bias. I know, big words. That's just my thoughts. I will see you soon. Goodbye.